watching my stream, and they thought that what I was saying was a literal condemnation of a man who had tanked an entire political party, and that I was not being hyperbolic in any single way, and that a single individual would be capable of doing such a thing, well then to you, I sincerely apologize, because it was not my intent to be misleading to you. You probably weren't familiar with my material, and at the time you probably looked at it and thought, well, this could just be taken as something that's literal. I should send it to Count Dankula right away. And then to you, Mr. Dankula, I'm not apologizing for shit.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, someone sent me a clip of you talking on stream, and the stuff you were saying was just completely untrue.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wanting to talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
you know, I came on your stream. I'm greased up for the occasion. I'm ready to slide down the aisles. So, I think, can we touch on that as well as other things? Just that the only thing you're going to talk to me about?
possibly can touch on other things. Possibly.
Okay.
Depends what kind of mood I'm in. But the first thing I want to talk about is what you said. You said, yeah, do you remember when he ran for UKIP and completely derailed and tanked their entire organisation?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it's also a complete fucking lie. That's not what happened at all.
All right, well, here we are. So I guess I can start out by saying that, yeah, I will say on the record right now that I'm willing to offer an apology to your audience, because I think that's very important. But I mean, I'd like to get there eventually. Before we get to that moment, I was hoping we could just do maybe a little bit of like a little edging before full release. That's probably the best way to go about these things, right? I mean, we should go down a little bit about the history of UKIP, your participation in there, maybe the history of the political party in general, involvement. Because I do have a lot of questions. I mean, you could educate me on a whole host of topics, especially when it comes to like Nigel Farage, for example.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly why the party tanked. I could even give you the entire timeline of all the events that happened and led up to it.
Sure, please.
Well, basically, UKIP was already tumultuous as all hell. I mean, they were going through leader after leader after leader because nobody was lasting more than like a few months, or someone would get in and then start some sort of controversy that would cause shit for the party, like Henry Bolton as well. Then after that, it became Gerard Batten. Now, well, the reason that UKIP, I should start with Brexit in itself. Nigel Farage was Mr. Brexit. He was the face of Brexit. He was the guy that started it all. He was the guy that got the vote and started everything and got the ball rolling. And so he was seen as the face of Brexit, the face of UKIP. He wasn't just the leader of the party. He ended up becoming the party's brand. He ended up becoming the face of the actual argument of Brexit itself. And then after the vote went through, Brexit vote won, Nigel Farage just went like, yeah, cool, I've my work here is done, and all but rode off into the sunset. He was still a member of the party, still an MEP, still collecting his paycheck, but he was literally just there in spirit. Like, he wasn't doing anything, he wasn't contributing, he was still, his brand was still attached to the party, but he just wasn't doing anything. I think he felt just, I have accomplished Brexit, my work here is done, and then just didn't do anything after that. Ended up, he stepped down as leader. Lots and lots of people tried to come in and fill those boots, and that was a complete shit show with, different leader after different leader, controversy. Leader stepped down, new leader got voted in, new acting leader. It was a complete shit show. Then Gerard Batten came in, shook the party up. He has a bit of an iron grip, and he actually managed to develop the party into, something stable again. So this all happens long before me and Sargon came anywhere near the party. So it was already a little bit of a shit show before we even came in. Then we were looking at a party that actually has free speech clauses in its manifesto that actually cared about freedom of speech. None of the other major parties do that have any kind of clout. The only one was UKIP. We ended up joining UKIP. They were very happy with us, welcomed us with open arms. Even Farage was quite happy with it. I mean, we even met him at the European Parliament. We were chatting away to Farage, but as soon as we got in the door, we realised that there's a lot of factional warfare within UKIP. There's a lot of, everyone has their own little team and everything. For example, the nickname for Batten's people was called the Batten Brigade. And everything was fine. Everything was going smoothly. There was obviously bad press, but UKIP literally just gets a constant fucking stream of bad press. That's why everyone's saying, "Yo, you brought the party bad press." Oh yeah, because UKIP's never ever had bad press before. They don't get slated in the papers constantly. And then what happened was the concept of Tommy Robinson being brought on as a member was brought up. Now, there were rules in the UKIP charter that anyone who was an ex-member of the EDL or an ex-member of the BNP is not allowed to join UKIP. They're banned from joining. Now, other political parties don't have that rule. Only UKIP has that rule. I mean, Labour themselves have ex-BNP members and even have some ex-BNP councillors, but that's by the by. But ended up, I said, like, we should put it to a vote. We shouldn't just say, tough shit, we're going to bend the rules to allow Tommy in. I said, put it to a vote. It ended up that the vote kept getting delayed because, again, in a party politics, a lot of people didn't want Tommy in and they were using their power to stop the vote from happening. And so basically we were like, you're kind of fucking up democracy here. Like, just if anybody wants him in, then they can vote for it or vote against it. Just let everyone in the party decide. They kept putting off the vote, kept delaying the vote. And then it ended up, Batten just went, okay, he's not going to be a member, but I'm going to bring him on as an advisor. Right. And then everything kicked off, everything blew up, everyone got really mad. And Nigel Farage went, fuck this, I'm leaving, and acted like that, oh, that's the final straw. I'm gone, when that wasn't what happened. See how the Brexit party that he went on to form, he had been planning that for months. He had been planning that for a really long time. He just used the Tommy Robinson thing as an excuse to go and do it.
So, yeah. Right, so like we could dig through the ditches, burn through the witches, and all that kind of stuff. But like when it comes to it, Dankula, in the 2 points that you made in that tweet, one of the two says that it happens to do with Game of Thrones-esque scenario. So did you mean that there was some kind of incest going on? Was there something between like Boris Johnson or Nigel Farage, or what exactly does that mean?
It's just basically everyone was vying for power. Everybody wanted a seat at the table. Literally Game of Thrones. People were fighting for the throne. That's literally what it was. Like, it was just factionalism, and, you know, anyone, you know, if the person who's, you know, if they were all in the Batten brigade, if Batten was in charge, then his little brigade, you know, felt in charge and felt important within the party. You know, basically the Lord became king and his subjects were held in higher regard than the other subjects. It was that type of fucking bullshit. That's what it was.
But so it didn't collapse due to like NEC fuckery, right? The previous leader Farage stated that the Brexit party consolidated their entire vote share and then some, right?
I was about to get on to the NEC. Basically, Farage jumped ship, went away and formed the Brexit party, and this was something that had been months in the making because he'd kind of lost control. Like, a lot of people lost a lot of respect for Farage because basically, like, from everybody I spoke to in the party, I was like, what is actually going on with him? And the unanimous, you know, opinion I was getting from everyone was he just doesn't care anymore. Like, he genuinely feels, I got Brexit, that's it, it's done, bye. Like, and that was it. That's why everyone was saying, like, he's here in spirit. Like, probably not really. He just wasn't doing anything for the party. Like, he was turning up to the fucking, like, meetings and shit like that, but that was it. But then it happened after that, Farage left, and what happened is, because he was the brand, the face of Mr. Brexit, basically when he left, everyone thought, oh, that's UKIP done, even though UKIP wasn't done. UKIP was still a fully functional party. They had like councillors, they had MEPs, they had all that type of stuff. And when Farage left, everyone just immediately, because see, when people think of Brexit, they think of Farage. It wasn't UKIP. UKIP was just something Farage was a part of. So when Farage left, a huge amount of the voter base left and went with Farage. Right, and then what happened was the NEC, who wanted to jump ship, a lot of people jumped ship and went to the Brexit party because they were promised, you know, nice, high, shiny positions in the party.
But he left multiple times. He left like 6 times, didn't he?
Yeah, but this was the big final one.
Okay. And then in terms of you said that you were part of the party because of the free speech aspect, right? But at the same time, you were joining around the time that Tommy Robinson was too, and then there was a huge push to the far right for UKIP as a party, right? Like a large amount of Islamophobia was pretty much reported universally.
No, there's Muslim members in UKIP.
That doesn't change anything, though. There can be Muslim members in an organization that discriminates.
Yeah, those self-hating Muslims that want to destroy their culture and their religion. It's weird, isn't it? Just these masochists, you know.
but that doesn't really change anything of what I've just said, though, right? Like, it was pretty heavily reported in both UK press and international press that there was a huge amount of Islamophobia that was coming out of the party around that time.
God damn, it's a good thing we know that for a fact. It's not like, because the press would never ever lie about that, would they?
Okay, so is this going to be a situation where, like, if I have a whole bunch of sources ready for you, because you did say you wanted me to come with, like, you know, links and stuff.
No, that's fine.
But
I want to address the derailing part, because as you can see so far in this absolute derailment, I have absolutely no involvement at all. Mm-hmm. I have no involvement now. After that left, basically, there was people in the NEC, which are like the chair, the board of UKIP. If there's any, they're like the upper higher council of all of UKIP. They manage things like leadership elections, party decisions, the manifesto, all that type of stuff. Now, a lot of them were still very Team Farage. They just didn't want to jump the ship to go to the Brexit party because they wouldn't have the wage and the recognition that they would get, you know, while being in the NEC. And a lot of them blamed Gerard Batten for Farage leaving, so they hated Gerard Batten. Right? They went, you've cost us votes, you've cost us our brand, you've cost us this, you've cost us that. Hail Nigel Farage, you know that, right? So they did everything that they could to fuck with him. They blocked all kinds of decisions, blocked all kinds of votes. Anytime, basically, they just went, oh, is Batten trying to do something? Stop him. Mm-hmm. Like, they just fucked it up all the way through it. And eventually it got to the point where Batten just went, I can't function like this. Like, the NEC has made it impossible for me to function as a leader. I'm stepping down, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to hand it over to someone that the NEC doesn't hate so that the party can actually move forward, because the NEC were just cutting their own nose off to spite their face. That's what they were doing. They were fucking up the whole party just because they had this personal beef with Gerard Batten. Then we had the democratic leadership election. Richard Brain was another leader that got voted in. And he said, I want not Nigel Farage, I want Gerard Batten as my deputy. And the NEC went, no. And he went, why? I'm allowed to choose my own deputy. And they were like, well, we're vetoing your decision. And Richard Brain then went, well, I'm going to dismantle the NEC. Lots of the people in the party have agreed that the reason we're not moving forward is because of your fuckery. And so began the war, right? And basically, the NEC did everything they could to fuck over everything in the party. People were getting kicked out. You were getting fingermen, like in V for Vendetta, snitching on people and making up crap about people as an excuse to kick political rivals out the party, like full-on Game of fucking Thrones shit. Until it got to the point where Richard Brain went, fuck this, I can't do it anymore, and he abdicated as leader because he couldn't do anything. And because of all this internal petty fucking fighting and losing the brand of Nigel Farage, that, you know, all the voters jumped over to the Brexit party, and the internal fighting made UKIP look like an absolute shambles. And in the entirety of this, I had absolutely no part. Just a lot of people like to say that, which is why when I seen you say that statement, when I was there, I was at the meetings, I know everything that happened. Like, I spoke to all the members, I know everything. That's why when I seen you say that, I just went, that's a lie.
All right, so like I said, I have already said at the start of this, I promised your audience an apology. We're going to get to that, but I'm just trying to figure out a couple more things. Because, again, when you said, for starters, that you didn't campaign for them, right, is one of the things you said?
Yeah, I think the most I ever did was I mentioned in a video that I was fourth on the list, and then I made some joke saying, all we need is 80% of the people in Scotland to vote for UKIP. Totally doable, like, being sarcastic. Clearly.
Right, so I've got a link to a video from your channel where it says UKIP Needs You, and it's a commercial you've produced where you're talking about recruiting new youth members to UKIP, and then you make an anti-Semitic joke at the end of it. But I'm gonna say it just right at the beginning of this, because I know it's gonna be hard to pin down any of these jokes, because you're definitely an individual.
I just want to ask, right? See that video that you're referencing to? That is when I first joined UKIP. That was that was months and months and months and months. That was a very long time before you're saying that that's part of like my campaign, that I didn't even know I was going to be an MEP. I had no expectation of that ever happening.
That's totally fine. Right? You still made a campaign video for them, right? My dude, you can't like ignore that.
But there was no
the name of the video is UKIP Needs You. That's the name of the video.
Okay, campaign. What election? What election was that?
It doesn't matter if it's for an election. You're still campaigning for UKIP. Like, you can't say the sentence, I don't campaign for UKIP, or I never campaigned for UKIP, even if it was part of your political party, right?
You campaign for elections, man.
Absolutely.
Campaign for
no
elections,
question.
right?
No question. If I myself, though, put out an ad right now that says, hey, by the way, you should vote for the NDP, here's why, I would say that I was working on the behalf of the NDP, right? I'm producing propaganda for them in some sense. At the same time, you're doing this.
Okay, then. In my understanding, when you say my political campaign, I thought you meant my MEP election.
Well, okay, I can get to that because we have another video for that as well. But anyways, in the UKIP Needs You video, because we'll start with that one, right?
The anti-Semitic joke at the end, I especially love that.
I know.
I love that.
All right, mate, I'm a comedian as well. I'm not gonna, or at least I want to be, okay? So you could call me like a wannabe dumpster fire comedian. That's totally fine. So I don't want to sit here and then the two of us are gonna go back and forth as to what or is what not funny, because I don't think any two people who consider themselves comedians want to ever try and do that, right? So I'm not gonna say, hey, by the way, it's distasteful for me that you're making fun of Jewish people like that. That's that's your thing. That's your shtick, right?
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, please.
The guy that handed me the bag of shekels
is Jewish.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was a literal bag of shekels that he brought with him from Israel when he came over to visit, and he handed it to me like laughing, going, "Here's your Mossad money, goyim," and all that, right, and making fun of me and shit like that. Like that was part of it. In fact, I think the joke was actually his idea.
Fair enough, but like that's kind of the I have a black friend argument, right? Like I can't be racist because I have a black buddy, or like I have a Jewish friend.
But the good thing about that is, like, I know lots of people like, oh, you're racist, you're fascist, that joke was anti-Semitic. I don't care. I don't care what you think. I know what I meant. I know what my intent was, and I know better than to try and convince people that want to push a narrative otherwise.
Sure, and again, dude, I'm not here to talk to you about that because like that's not my thing. I'm not a joke police kind of person, right? And again, whether or not I find it funny or I don't find it funny, that's up to someone else, right? Humor is subjective. But in a political ad, putting something like that in there, right? Obviously, if it's going to be on the internet, that's different than private speech, right? That's different than you telling that joke to your Jewish friend, being like, hey, by the way, those shekels are hilarious. This is you making that video and then putting it onto the internet and then representing a political party as a result of that at the same time.
Yeah. So?
Well, then that would directly affect UKIP if they, in turn, down the road, were to take you on as an MEP, no?
No, it didn't actually affect them at all. I mean, a couple of people got pissy about the joke. That was it, really.
Right, and then why would Nigel Farage, when asked multiple times in different TV interviews, disown both you and Sargon based on those kind of jokes and humor, whether it be the rape joke or the Jewish joke, for examples?
Was he asked about that in interviews?
He was, yeah.
All right, I don't remember that. Did he disavow us?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
He called you the lunatic/criminal fringe.
Us directly or Tommy Robinson?
Sargon, that's him referencing Sargon and Count Dankula.
Really?
Yeah, I'll pull these up for you.
That's the first I've ever heard of that. He was actually very happy about us joining the party.
But probably at first, right? And then it came down the road that all that rape stuff came out with Carl Benjamin, and then the other jokes came out as well.
I thought that was funny. They dug up controversy that was like 2 years old. At that point, the rape. You mean the non-rape? The non-rape.
Yeah, the Sargon's like non-stop rape joke kind of stuff.
The non-rape joke, you mean?
Well, yeah, the rape joke. It was a joke about rape.
The
I wouldn't even rape her joke. That one, right?
Yeah,
saying that she's too ugly to even be raped. That one, right? It's still a rape joke by definition, even if it's about.
I'm not saying. Who says she's ugly? You've pulled that up yourself. I mean, I wouldn't even rape someone. Am I calling them ugly? No, I'm just saying I wouldn't do such a terrible thing.
But that's still considered a rape joke. You understand that, right?
It's a non-rape joke.
Okay. This is the weirdest semantics argument I've ever been inside, mate.
I'm just saying. I just like to make sure that everything, all the conversation is framed properly. That's all.
Fair enough. All right. Well, okay. This is a new line of pedantry I didn't think we'd experience. Let's get down to brass tacks in here. So you made offensive jokes. You came out all this stuff. Single-handedly, though, one individual being able to tank an entire political party, probably not too realistic, right?
Not too realistic. I don't know. Fucking what's his face? Why have I forgotten his name? Peter Griffin. He fucking annihilated. No, Peter Griffin. Holy shit, no. In fact, I should call him that because he kind of looks like Peter Griffin that's had a stroke. Nick Griffin, leader of the BNP, he did an appearance on BBC Question Time. And this is why everyone goes like that. Oh, you joined UKIP, you joined the fascist party. I mean, if I wanted to join a fascist party, I would have joined the fucking BNP. Mm-hmm. Jesus. Yeah, he's like, Nick Griffin is like, see how you get the people that turn around and go like, I'm not racist, I'm not this, I'm not that, and everything. No, Nick Griffin will look you in the eye and tell you the Holocaust didn't happen, I hate gays. Like that's the type he is. He's like, unapologetically, unironically, a very big fan of Oswald Mosley, right? So that's
sure. That's horrifying. But those are the kind of people that are really easy for like, you know, someone to say, hey, point at them and be like, that's a racist. That guy uses the N-word. He's a racist, right? Because he hates black people and uses those kind of terms. There's many forms of it though. Like racism's systemic, right? So even like putting stuff out there that could, you know, marginalize people, for example, whether it's a joke or something else, that can also oppress people, even if you're not intending. Like even if your intent in your heart isn't like, I necessarily hate Jewish people when I make this joke, right?
How do jokes oppress people?
How do jokes oppress people?
Yes.
Like a single joke, say the Shekels joke, for example. So if they add to an atmosphere that directly marginalizes a community, right? If you are a community, say like the Jewish people who have undergone horrific atrocities under the Holocaust.
How do jokes marginalize people?
How do they marginalize people? They contribute to a societal atmosphere that may make them feel more afraid, right? Every single day you leave your house and you happen to not be white.
How do jokes make people feel afraid?
I feel like I'm explaining the same thing over to you over and over. I mean, if you want to break down things to their simplicity, we should get to that, right?
No, I definitely. This is something that I care very deeply about, and I would love to dive as deep into it as we could go.
Okay.
How do jokes make people feel afraid?
Here's the best way I can explain it to you. All right, what you're famous for is basically starting. What is it, like a little Nazi camp for dogs kind of thing, right? Like that was the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say this, and I'll be totally candid. I don't think in your heart of hearts you were doing any of that as some kind of like hilarious way to make fun of the Jewish people, to make them feel scared or afraid or remind them of the Holocaust. You were doing it strictly because you thought it was hilarious if your joke to your dog, it was your girlfriend's dog, right? If your girlfriend's dog basically did the Nazi salute and you thought of the worst possible thing that you could think of to turn this cute little pug into, that was the Nazi. And by doing that, it's fucking hilarious because the Nazi all of a sudden responds to like, you know, certain like anti-Semitic catchphrases, and now he's a horrifying creature, right? That was the end. Like that's the bit.
Yep, that's pretty much the joke, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think in your heart of hearts you were necessarily doing that because you wanted to further, like, you know, a white ethno-state or, you know, bring forth the Third Reich. I don't think you were doing it because you had anything. I thought you did it because you thought it would be just a laugh, right? And the blowback from it was pretty extreme. So because of that, I don't know if that's what started your timeline from being like a communist to a full-blown, like, you know, right-winger. I don't know if that was the reason for it, but that was part of the arc, right?
That was sort of like the last nail in the coffin. There's a whole explanation about how I ended up veering away from that path. That's a fucking long story. But it was something that was already going to happen, but it was just that situation was the impetus for it finally happening.
Okay. So in that case, right, even if your heart's not in the wrong place, your intent was not to try and make, you know, Jewish people feel more afraid or contribute to, you know, societal stigmatization of the Jewish people. You have to understand historically, one of the big reasons after World War II why a lot of things suddenly became banned in Germany, such as like, you know, using the Nazi symbolism or selling Mein Kampf, stuff like that, was because they weren't trying to erase history. Those things are still available in museums, in, you know, if you're trying to study it like that. But to be able to just use them openly, they would feel that contributes to something called hate speech. And the purpose behind that being is that even if it's a joke, it can still marginalize communities and members because not everyone will take it as a joke like you did. Not everyone will think of it as being hilarious.
Okay, but how does it marginalize people?
Are you asking, like, quite literally, do they hear that joke and they suddenly feel marginalized?
No, I'm asking.
Okay, here's the best way. Here's the best way I can explain it to you. It's part of dehumanization. All right, it's the same problem with slavery in the United States. Right, when you turn African Americans into characters, right, into like minstrel shows, into like blackface stuff like that, it's to make them seem less human. That they're cartoon characters to you. So the same thing occurs with that kind of humor.
Okay, so we should exclude them from an extremely important social interaction, which is comedy and jokes. I think that's dehumanizing.
You don't have to exclude them at all. None whatsoever.
Okay, then it's just
Is the only kind of joke you can do towards another individual, though, who's of another race? Does that happen? Does it have to be degrading to them? Does it have to dehumanize them? Is that the only way to do it?
Most types of mockery are. That's part of comedy. I think if you exclude someone from that, you are othering them. You are doing that. If you tell people you're not allowed to joke about these people, they are not allowed to be part of this very important social interaction, which is mockery and everything. It depends on what it is. Like,
okay,
for
but
example, I don't do it in bad faith because I actually hate these people and I want them to go home and cry about it. And I would much rather that they laughed. But it's the fact is, like, see if I make jokes about fucking anything and everything, right? I get in the papers a lot for fucking jokes that I make that piss people off. Right, but everybody fucking gets it. Like, I do it against fucking black people, white people, Jews, like gays, trans. I do it against absolutely everyone. Nobody's safe with me. I don't focus on a specific group overall. But I think if I had said, I'm not going to joke about X group, that is me excluding them. I'm saying, this social interaction that humans universally share, you're not allowed to be a part of it. I think that's othering them. I think that's marginalizing them.
So there's a handful of really important things you got to remember, though. Are you doing these jokes with your friends or your buddies, or are you doing them on public atmosphere, like, on public forums? Both. So it doesn't matter how loud the broadcast is. Like, you have a huge platform, so if you put out a racist joke about black people as a video, it's going to be seen by sometimes millions of people, right?
Depend what the joke is.
Sure, but like, you understand that, right? Like, you have a bigger megaphone than most people would. And you can discern the difference between that, right? Being able to tell a joke and one that might actually affect, again, millions of people by the power of your voice.
Okay, but the problem is, right, think of the Nazi pug video. In the Nazi pug video, I was literally saying the phrase, gas the Jews, right? Now, out of all the jokes that I've made and all the things I've said on stage and the things that I have done, that joke by far is the spiciest, because I say something which in many different contexts could be considered a direct incitement to violence, okay? How many Jews were harmed because of that video? And that was the joke that did the rounds. Millions of people all around the world seen that. How many Jews were harmed because of that video?
It would be really hard for me to give you data on that. Do I think that there's one person out there who might have been inspired by that? Could be. I can't say, right? I don't like to talk about things I don't have empirical data on. To assume that it was zero is the same problem, right? You can't assume that not a single person saw that and then thought, you know what, maybe it's funny for me to say this kind of shit. I'm going to say it all the time, right?
No, right. Nobody has been inspired to commit a physical attack against Jewish people because of my video.
People have been inspired to shoot up mosques because they saw Ben Shapiro. And one of the shooters in the Quebec mosque shooting directly said that it was Ben Shapiro's work that inspired him. So there is direct correlation to his actions in that instance.
Okay, did Ben Shapiro tell him to shoot up a mosque?
No, not directly, but the person said what he was saying inspired him. So you have to, by virtue of that, you have to understand that your platform can affect people. That's very important, obviously.
Did the author of Catcher in the Rye want one of his readers to murder John Lennon?
That's a good one. I like that. No, he didn't.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You have absolutely no control.
But there's a big difference between Catcher in the Rye. There's a difference between me saying right now, Count Dankula, you've got a fuzzy beard, and that inspiring someone to go have sex with a monkey, right? That would be a strange correlation. That doesn't make very sense. If I told you, by the way, this group of people, I'm going to marginalize them, and I think I'm going to vilify them because they're very, very evil for some certain reason, and then a person sees that and is like, I agree with you. I'm now going to commit violence. There's a huge difference there.
Well, there's also a huge fucking jump there against what that person intends to do, and
and that was your example. You just used Catcher in the Rye, right, to say John Lennon shot someone because they read it. That makes no sense to me. Obviously, I agree with you. There's no correlation there. Someone can read a menu at like KFC and be like, "Oh shit, now I want to shoot up a school." There's no correlation there, right?
So see if there is a particular group of people, then are we not allowed to point out flaws or criticize them or anything, just in case the hatred for this group of people gets so much that even though no violence has been called for, a person might, of their own free will, decide on their own to inflict violence upon them? Because if that's the case, then you're out of a job. You're out of a job. You're not going to be able to complain about the right.
That's why I started. Like I said, I started this by saying to you, like, I'm not someone who's against free speech. I'm totally for free speech within the limits that our society dictates. Right? There's a difference between free speech, hate speech, and there's a difference between me telling a joke and also telling jokes for the memes and also telling jokes because I want to indoctrinate people and I just want to keep doing it until it normalizes hateful behavior. There's a big difference between all of those.
That's the thing that I've never understood. Everyone goes like, "Oh, you tell jokes to indoctrinate people. It convinces people to your way of thinking." And I literally do this for a living, and I don't fucking see that. Mm-hmm. I don't see it. I've never experienced it. I mean, see if you tell a joke and there's people in the crowd that don't agree with your joke. Holy fucking shit! Do they let you know? Like, I mean, if I go on Twitter or on YouTube right now and I make some fucking spicy jokes, if people don't like it, good lord, they will let you know in a fucking instant. Usually with a lot of disparaging, horrible, hateful comments against you, right? See, the only people that I see, like, sort of, say, for example, if I went on stage and went, haha, black people, right? And everyone started clapping, I've not convinced them of shit, right? This was just something that they already believed. Jokes aren't like a way to fucking convince people to your way of thinking. You might get people to agree with the subject matter, but it doesn't convince.
It might anyone. Not. It maybe not for you, Count Dankula, because like you're not actively trying to recruit people into some strange ethno state. There are definitely people who have said, multiple times that yes, they use it as a recruitment tool. Yeah, there's a big difference between the two.
There absolutely is people who say they do that. There are also people that say that they use crystals to heal fucking cuts and rashes. What I'm saying is, just because you say you do it doesn't mean it works.
I know, but again, you're taking extreme isolated examples and trying to use them as a generality, and that's false, right? In the case of like alt-right recruitment, especially when it comes to the internet, they have said demonstratably multiple times that they use that humor as a recruitment tool. It's not isolated incidents, for example.
Okay, then I'm saying it doesn't work.
It's ineffective? Well, I mean, fuck, I wish you were right. Unfortunately, like, the stats don't bear out on that.
No, because see, if you actually speak to the alt-right, like I do, because I think it's good to get a better understanding, because one of the people that I actually thoroughly fucking enjoy, and I believe that more and more people should follow his work, is Daryl Davis. Daryl Davis is an absolute fucking champion that has proven that dialogue with these people actually does work. It actually does work, and it actually is effective. So see how these people, if you want to actually understand why do you think and feel the way you do, actually sit down and talk to them, because none of them have said, I seen a Pepe meme on Twitter and then I decided that Jews are bad. Mm-hmm. Like, no, none of them will say that to you. Not a single one will say that to you. Again, they laugh at those memes and they enjoy the memes and everything, but the reason that they enjoy it is because it already reaffirms what they believe. It doesn't convince them. Right? It's basically if I go on stage and say, pedophiles are bad, mm-hmm. the whole crowd's going to fucking clap. Right, yeah, I'm not fucking convinced anyone of anything.
So what you're giving an example of is in-group versus out-group dynamics, right? And in the case of the alt-right, I agree with you. If you were able to actually talk to some alt-righters, especially young kids, and tell them, hey, here's a good way to de-radicalize yourself and get out of this, most of them probably wouldn't tell you that, like, I deep down in my soul genuinely hate the Jewish people. I've kind of maybe been taught that there's this difference in IQs and brain weights and all this kind of race realism bullshit, and it's because of that I feel that way. And yes, maybe reaching out to that on the other side of the aisle is a good idea. In terms of being a comedian, though, in terms of you saying pedophiles are bad, again, you are talking to an in-group, right? Like, I don't know how many of your friends are...
Not in some of the clubs that I perform in.
Okay, sure, but you're giving...
I've performed in places that have been very divided. I've been booed before for some of the fucking jokes I've said.
Sure, but that again, these are isolated examples, right? So, like, in your own group of friends, like, how many of them are non-white for your close friends? And as long as you've been growing up, how long have they been non-white?
Well, Scotland is 96% white.
Right. So, and again, I'm not saying this to call you out. I could tell you the same thing. Me, for example,
I do have friends. Like, I have black friends, I have Asian friends. I just don't see why that matters.
Well, it matters because if you were constantly talking to a majority of white friends and you're joking amongst your white friends, right? And it's totally fine for these jokes amongst your white friends, because at the end of the day, you don't think that these actually have any real harm. They're just jokes, and it's just hilarious to all of you to keep making jokes against black people, Jewish people, whatever.
But that's the thing is, you keep repeatedly saying that they have harm. I'm wanting you to explain how.
Right, so this was going to be a direct example of that. In amongst your white friends, you're making jokes about black people, and it's all good, it's all fun, it's all hilarious, right? And that's because you don't actually have any experience with an outside group. So the idea of dehumanizing those kind of people doesn't really affect you or your other friends. They're just jokes.
I don't dehumanize them. Jokes about people don't dehumanize
Right,
them.
but your intent is not to dehumanize them. When you say those jokes, you might not in your heart of hearts say, I want to make you feel shitty or I want to make you feel like less of a person. But the effect is very, very different. And that's the key. That's what's important here.
Okay, dude. I think that says more about you personally. Whenever I hear jokes about certain groups of people, I don't think, ha ha ha, I suddenly think they are less than human. I just think, I heard a funny joke. I don't think anything.
Exactly. That's the point. That's the point. Right. Less. To you in your own head, you're like, this isn't dehumanizing. I don't get it. I just think it's funny. Right? You can't put yourself in their shoes for 2 seconds. You can't put yourself in that other person's shoes. It would be very different to them, for example.
Yeah, but even one thing that has been, I can definitely put myself in their shoes, right? Because Scottish people have been made fun of for fucking decades, right? All throughout comedy. And also, I'm a Catholic in Scotland. I've been called a fiend and a taig and everything many, many times in my life. And I've heard all the anti-Catholic jokes, all the anti-Irish jokes, getting called fucking Sassenachs, getting called Chookters, getting all of that shit, right? Whenever I hear those jokes, I don't feel dehumanized because it's said in friendly, banterous ways, and I understand that the intent of it is comedy. I don't see it as coming from a place of hatred,
of course,
or anything like that.
But right. you're going back in circles, man. That's the exact same thing. It doesn't affect you, and for the exact same reason, because that exactly isn't exactly a societal structural class that's being oppressed in the same way. So if someone looks to me, hold on. Stay on this. Stay on this. This is good.
Catholics were not oppressed in Scotland.
Oh no! We're talking about race right now, my friend. Ethnicity and race, right? This is different. Not religious oppression. And you even in today's day and age, if you walk around your society, I'm guessing you probably don't feel discrimination based on your religion. It's probably pretty secular now, right?
No, that stuff is still very fucking alive and well.
Okay, so if it's alive and well. Is it something? Hold on. This is very, very important. Is it something that if you walk outside of your door, someone could look at you, point at you, and be like, "He's a Catholic"? They'll know it right when they see you. Of course not. Of course not. That's the difference for a lot of these people, especially when it comes to, say, African Americans. They walk outside of the house. That's how the entire world will judge them all the time, based on the amount of melanin in their fucking skin. So that's why it's a lot more fucked up. That's what systemic racism has to do.
Right.
So that's why if you're someone who's
basically because my differences are hidden, they don't result in as much systemic racism and hate speech and dehumanization and derogatory remarks.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? Right. Okay.
Well, that's why certain jokes would affect certain people. You're saying how does a joke actually affect anyone, right? And if it's someone who, like I said, leaves their house and is already affected by racism in every single way, then perhaps, hearing a joke on top of that might add one more, shitty piece to the pile.
So basically, jokes can make people feel upset.
They can do lots of things. They can make people feel happy. They can dehumanize people. I mean, the intent doesn't always matter.
Okay, but you said that basically the reason that we should be aware and mindful of the jokes that we tell is someone might be going through some shit, they've suffered a lot of shit, and then a joke might make them feel upset.
It can also contribute to an atmosphere that normalizes dehumanizing a particular group, and that might that also, if you take it to its logical extreme,
how does it dehumanize? Like that's the part I don't like. This is the thing. It's just. I don't understand this fucking like it's like the fucking
you were
Dungeons
so
and Dragons.
Close. You were so close. I thought I saw it. I thought I saw the light enter your eyes, and I was like, "Holy shit, he gets it!"
No, it's because the way I feel right now is I'm arguing with an 80-year-old who's telling me rap music causes crime, Marilyn Manson causes kids to shoot up schools, don't play Grand Theft Auto, it'll make you kill your family, Dungeons and Dragons causes devil worship, jokes cause genocide. Like fucking hell, man. Like honestly, like these are boomer level fucking arguments, man. And I'm literally working comedy. I experience this shit. I don't see it. Have you maybe thought that just I'm not trying to be mean, right? Usually whenever I do this shit, I'm an arsehole, right? But I'm not trying to be mean. Have you ever thought that
you've been very nice. I agree with you.
But have you ever thought that it might be because your side is very well known for being really sensitive?
I told you at the start of this, I'm not a joke police. I think you should have the right to say whatever you want within the boundaries of the law in free speech.
I don't mean you personally. But
you're talking about social justice warriors and soy boys and cucks and all that shit, right?
I try and not use the social justice warrior thing anyway. That phrase kind of like died in 2017.
Sure,
right?
well,
So
whatever you have, right? You're talking about lefties, okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the problem is that they're too sensitive.
Not lefties. There are a lot of lefties. I would say the vast majority of lefties who are sensible and absolutely normal and absolutely rational people, and then you get the lefties saying that man asked me for my phone number. That's rape. Like you get you get those ones, right? But the vast majority of lefties, I would say, are sensible, normal, rational people. It's just there's a 10% among you that are little screeching retards, to put it bluntly.
Okay. Then why did you call me out for something I said? Doesn't it just show that you were upset by something I said?
No, it's just lies. Like, see if you did a stream basically saying Count Dankula is a great big fat ugly fuck. He looks like fat bastard from fucking. I would have just probably laughed. I mean, Vice just wrote an article about me saying whether or not you should have sex with me, and I just laughed at it because I thought that shit was funny. And then they made fun of me, right? That type of stuff, whatever. I don't care. But see if it's something that's like a lie, that's when I get pissed off. That's why if someone goes, Count Dankula isn't funny, he's an arsehole, I would probably go like, yeah, whatever, okay, that's fine. But then if someone goes, Count Dankula is a fascist, I would go, right, well, that's obviously completely not fucking true. Like that, and then that's when I respond to it. So basically, if you just made fun of me and said horrible shit, I wouldn't have given a shit. I don't care.
Okay.
Like the same as when you tweeted out like that picture a few seconds ago of me when I was younger, and everyone like obviously tried to make fun of me. It was me that posted that picture myself. I don't give a shit, right? But
I assume so. I posted it because it's hilarious. There's like a young communist photo of you. Yeah, I wasn't doing it because I thought it was going to belittle you. I thought you'd.
Those were the days. Those were the fun days. Yeah.
Okay, well then let me say this, because I did say at the start of this I was going to apologize to your audience, and so I will right now. And honestly, to any members of your audience who were watching my stream and they thought that what I was saying was a literal condemnation of a man who had tanked an entire political party, and that I was not being hyperbolic in any single way, and that a single individual would be capable of doing such a thing, well then to you I sincerely apologize, because it was not my intent to be misleading to you. You probably weren't familiar with my material, and at the time you probably looked at it and thought, well, this could just be taken as something that's literal. I should send it to Count Dankula right away. And then to you, Mr. Dankula, I'm not apologizing for shit, son. It was a fucking joke. Holy shit. Like, goddamn. It's like, how much of a hypocrite are you, dude? Holy shit. Like, that's what I do. That's what I do on stream. Yeah, I don't think a single person is capable of tanking an entire political party. Holy shit. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, right. All right. It was a joke. You didn't really mean it. All right. Okay, then. I get it. That's fine. Just for everyone that's on a Serf stream and also on my stream watching right now, I just want you to know that Serf is a raging paedophile. Like, he just the boy man just fucking loves kids. I mean, he loves Looks kids, like we man. Got him. But don't worry, it's just it's a joke, boys. Don't worry, it's just a joke.
Yeah. This is fucking. This is Interview with a Vampire. It's like it's super boring and it's way too hetero. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, I got one more actually. Yeah, it's like you're like talking to a breakfast cereal, and that's probably why you're named after one.
No, fucking. I think it's with you. Like, there was a little bit of a deflection. Like, it wasn't. The thing is, the way you said it, it wasn't a joke. Like, I know jokes. Like, everyone always does that. Oh,
you know jokes. So you're the arbiter of what's funny and what's not funny. I get it. Awesome. Well, that's cool to know.
I never said that. I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing your intent. That was all. That was all.
Right. Like I said, intent is different, right? Intent is going to be different.
Okay, and well, it's just like that comment then. What was I'm going to do what you guys do then. What was funny about that? What was the punchline? Explain your joke.
Well, I guess if a single individual had such an ego that they thought that they alone could tank a single political party outside of maybe like Richard Nixon, and then they wouldn't find that funny afterwards and say, by the way, I'd like you to correct this on record. That's pretty fucking funny to me. I find that pretty damn hilarious. I will say.
No, it's just the fact. Well, but the fact is that you guys do use an awful lot of hyperbole.
That's true.
Like an exaggeration.
Everything's verbatim.
No. No, but that's the thing is, I'm just saying. It's like I know what you were doing, but it was just a joke, man. That's fine. I get it, man.
Man, did
I
you
mean,
realize what's happening in real time right now?
No, I know, I get it. You're on stream.
Mm-hmm.
You've got that pride you need to hold on to. You've got your social face.
We're both on stream.
Yeah, we're both on stream. That's right. Oh no, yeah, I get it. I know we're both on stream. I'm here. I set it up. It was my idea, right? And I get it, man. I mean, some people. I mean, you could have done it in a tweet and went, "Okay, that statement was wrong. I'm sorry. I apologize." That would have been it, man. That would have been it. But
I apologize to your audience because I think they deserve it. That's as far as it goes, though, my friend. I mean,
oh no, I don't. That's
the hypocrisy going on right now is stunning.
I didn't want an apology. I never asked you for an apology. I asked you for a retraction. I don't give a shit about apology. You didn't hurt my feelings, right? I just didn't like the fact that you were saying lies about me. That was all. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to want to address. Right, and I did enjoy the part as well that he was asking for money all the time, as part of being a politician for that campaign that I didn't even do anything for. I wasn't out in the street handing out leaflets or any of that shit, canvassing doors or anything. I didn't even do any of that. I actually didn't do anything at all for my campaign. That pissed them off a lot. But yeah, I get it. I understand. It was hypocritical. That's fine. So, I guess. I can say a few statements about you in future, and I won't make it. I won't have a punchline or anything like that. I'm just going to say some shit. Serfs fucks dead animals. No, there's not going to be a punchline. That is the punchline. Yeah. No, that's fine. That's fine, man. You got me. Yeah, you really got me, man.
All right. Well, shall we close it for today?
No, that's fine. I mean, there's a. Do you know have anything else that you want to say?
No, that's about it.
Did you enjoy what you just watched and now crave more nectar of the damned? Did you know that if you're watching on YouTube, you're only getting half the surfy experience? We upload all of our content commercial and censorship free to our Patreon. Due to the general demonetization of our videos, we now upload half of our original content directly to those who can help us produce this show. Want even more nectar than that? Well, come join us at twitch.tv/TheSerfsTV, where we do weekly live streams, debates, interviews, AMAs, and more. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you can help support our show 100% free by subscribing to our Twitch channel. So come join us, be merry, and know that your support is helping us do great things.